Hello everyone and welcome to another reading and writing update. I have news for you guys. I'm just kidding, I don't. It's just a normal update. First up, Clarice Lispector. I'm having a bit of a hard time finishing this, to be honest. Her prose is so abstract and I'm so not used to it. It's beautiful and enchanting, but very abstract. So I'm having a hard time finishing it, but I'm really enjoying the letters. And like every time I read another letter from her that mentions the book and the critical appraisal of the book and just her considering if she should publish some short stories or not, if she would like disappoint the readers that like this book by her bad short stories or not. This is a great decision. Reading the letters together with the book that she was publishing at the time she's writing the letters. Great decision. Great idea. This is just making the book better. And I'm having a hard time reading it right now. So this is my saving grace. Absolutely. But I will finish it soon and then do a video reviewing this. If any of you read the English version, please let me know. I want to talk to you because I have no idea how this was translated. Please talk to me. And if you've been watching my videos, you know that I recently reviewed The Secret History and Bunny, and it's like a dark academia series that I have going on that I want to review all of the existing dark academia books in existence. I am very obsessed with the idea of corrupt morals in an academic setting and self-destruction until death. No idea if this is actually what dark academia is. I'm assuming. I'm assuming. But I'm reading Babel. I came into this with the expectation that this is the best one, to be honest. That this is the most dark academia that dark academia will ever get, because it actually accomplishes the task of criticizing something without contributing to the problem. This is my impression of Babel before reading it. And I'm like very much in the beginning. I've read 2 chapters. I loathe I'm enraged beyond belief by that asshole professor. Load him to hell. I cannot stand him. Every word that comes out of his mouth, load him. When he started beating the boy, I was literally jaw on the floor. What is happening? Everything that he says, everything that his buddies say, all of it, loaded. I cannot believe that R F Kuang was able to write a book and a book character this detestable. Great writing. I cannot wait for his demise. I want a slow death for the professor. A slow death. And you know, I've been to TikTok, as you know. And I know that the character Richard is going to mess up. I know that the character Richard is going to do something unforgivable. And I'm hoping it doesn't involve our baby boy. But I just know it will. But I'm really enjoying her satire in the narration where she's like almost trying to be an objective narrator, and by being so objective in the way she tells the truth as it is of that time, she becomes so satirical about the truth of the world at that time. I'm really enjoying it. I think the narration was just really well accomplished. Not only because it's engaging in narrating the events of the book, but because it has that deeper layer of criticism within it. Loving it. And then I've been reading a lot of poetry because I'm writing a lot of poetry. So yeah, I've been rereading this book by a Portuguese author, which is amazing. And I was recently in my favorite bookstore, and to be honest, I was so absolutely exhausted from coming off of this anxiety crisis that I had. and I recently found out that my thyroid is not working well again. So I was really tired, and I just went and sat down on the bench that the bookkeepers have to reach the higher shelves. And I was sitting down on the bench and looking at the shelf right in front of me, which is like a hidden bottom shelf. And I found this little pearl, which is a book by Lourdes Espínola, a Paraguayan poet and journalist, I think. This is an anthology published in Portuguese. Usually I don't like to read poetry translated, but because Spanish and Portuguese are so similar, I'm quite confident in reading this one, and I'm enjoying it so much. Now for the writing. These are my 2 current little poetry notebooks where I write my first drafts in. This is my little book where I've just finished the first draft of a book that I'm writing with entries. Because the second drafts always get bigger, I'm gonna use this book to write the second draft. And as I told you before, actually, did I tell? No, I wrote it on my Patreon. Because I have a Patreon with like free membership just to like writing updates and stuff like that. And I was having like a really terrible day. It was right after my anxiety crisis. It was the day after the peak of anxiety, and I was completely dead, apathetic to the world. And somehow, in my apathetic state, I figured out what I want to do with this, because when I started writing it, I knew there would be entries of some kind. I knew it would be, I knew what the goal of the story was. Like midway through the story, I knew what the purpose or what the journey that this person would go through. I knew it, but I didn't really know what was happening to the person. I didn't really know what the ending would be. And in that day, that very apathetic day, for some reason, I figured it out. I figured out what the entries are. I figured out what happened to this person to get them to write this. I figured out where they are. I figured out where they are going after this ends. I figured out what happens to the little, book of entries that this person wrote. I figured out the ending of her story. It all clicked in my mind. I even figured out like the main plot, the subplots, a couple of them, and yeah, I finished the first draft in that horrible, horrible day, and like it just, I don't know. I don't even know if it makes sense. Like I don't know what happens to other people when they are writing. To me, things just kind of come and then I write them down. But I wrote the very last entry and I feel happy with it. So now I just have to, like, this is basically a skeleton of bones in a box. Now I'm going to rewrite it in a second draft. I'm going to pick the bones off the box, put them all together into a skeleton, and maybe start putting the tendons, some of the muscle in, and just organize the entries in the way that I figured them out, in the way that they would work for the story I want to tell. And I'm going to put some more meat on the bones because after I figured out the context that she's in, I know that I have to add certain entries and certain passages to already existing entries. And yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be working on this right after I finish a short story that I'm writing. Let me tell you about it. I'm going to show you the back because I'm sure that you could probably read some stuff on the front. But yeah, you're seeing a lot of paper because I write most of my drafts in paper. I don't write them on the computer immediately. The last story that I told you about was like a 5,000 word story, short story that I submitted a couple of weeks ago. And I wrote like 4 or 5 versions in paper. This is version 4 of this story. And after this, I feel ready to write it on the computer and start editing on the computer. Draft 3 that I wrote was about 7,000 words, but the way that I'm writing it, I'm pretty sure that it's going to be closer to maybe 9,000, 10,000 words. and I'm close to finishing draft 4, so next I will be typing it and editing it on a computer. This story in particular, I will probably have a specific friend of mine read, because the experiences in my life that inspire the story were also in part her experiences, because we shared this part of our life, and I want her to read it. And then after that, I'll probably submit it. I have one journal in mind, and then I'll have to research a few more journals to submit it to. This is a new thing for me. I usually don't write stories to submit because I've never really taken this part of my life seriously until recently, but I'm very happy about it. I want to share these stories, and this is what I've been saying in my reading and writing updates. When I manage to publish one of these short stories, I will probably share the link. If you guys want to read it, that would be really fun. I don't know if I'm ready to share them if they haven't been published somewhere, because in my mind it's like, if they haven't been accepted anywhere, they're not good enough, you know? And that's what I've been reading and writing. Join me in next week or in a couple of weeks as I update you again. And if you want more regular updates, join my Patreon. There's a free membership for most of the stuff that I post there. I have a support layer, but it's not really being used, to be honest. But yeah, more frequent updates on my Patreon. Join the free membership for that. And see you eventually. I'm gonna be posting a few more opinion videos. Get ready, because I'm gonna get salty again. Whoops. Bye, guys.